The Game Nashville Sports Network, ESPN 94.9, The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is turning into a beautiful Friday in Nashville. Sun came out a little while ago, so all things considered, it could be a whole lot worse. So we got kind of a split crew today. As you can tell, we're not at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. Let's find out where young William is. Billy Derrick is in...
I am in the Ray Mears studio in Knoxville, the home of Tony Basilio.
Yes, where you have become a full-time mooch.
Just a complete mooch, but...
Yes, you should be ashamed.
Well, I learned from you.
So, Ray Mears was a friend through Mark Griffin. Certainly the man that put University of Tennessee basketball on the map to start with. Billy, I will never forget. Vandy beat Tennessee one year by about 40 in Memorial Gym, and Ray Mears was there in the end zone with that orange coat, and he walked out with about 10 minutes left. Vandy was hitting everything in sight, and Tennessee under Wade Houston was not. And he called me the next day to let me know that he was pissed.
Yeah, I've heard a few stories on Ray Mears, especially when he played in Nashville against Vandy.
Ray Mears was a character and a brilliant basketball coach, and probably even better than that, he was an incredible promoter. Tennessee would come out in their pregame drills with a unicycle. They had a big old crate paper, orange, whatever that thing was. And of course, Ray Mears would take his walk around Memorial Gym. People would throw things at him. He didn't seem to care.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it in basketball with Ray Mears, and you're going to see it this weekend between Vandy and Tennessee. Ray Mears probably has a little bit of, or had a little bit of Tony Vitello in him, and that's what he's done with Tennessee baseball. And it's fun to see it when there is pure hatred between Vandy and Tennessee, because let's face it, we haven't seen that a ton over the last 6-7 years in basketball. We did last year. You know, that rivalry I think is back. Especially under Mark Byington. Football, we know how that is. That's a little bit of a mismatch typically. So it's fun to see it when you've got an even matchup and, they hate each other.
So 4:30 tonight, Nashville time. Game's on where TV-wise?
SEC Network.
Okay. Weather good up there?
Yeah, weather's good. It was kind of cloudy on the drive over, but cleared up, and I think it's supposed to be clear tonight and really all throughout the weekend. So good weather for this weekend, and that's what everybody wants, especially after a rain-soaked weekend last week in Knoxville when Tennessee faced Auburn.
So let me kind of tell people a little bit of what we're going to do today. Mike Rooney from D1 Baseball is going to join us at 3:20. We got a lot to talk about there, including this Tennessee Vanderbilt series. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, TitanInsider.com, will join us to talk about, I guess, the debut of Cam Ward in a Titans uniform, albeit a practice session. Danny Evans today at 4 o'clock. We will take your phone calls probably starting around 4:30, and also your text questions if you have them for Danny, because we want to get very interactive with him. And Billy, for Plaster Bet of the Day, let me do this in Spanish. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. We have 6 plays for the weekend.
Yeah, I looked at that this morning. I was like,
yes.
Woo.
I've gone to town.
You better have a good weekend, or else that record could start
It could
ugly.
fall apart. Do you have an update of any substance whatsoever?
I love how that's always the question, the lead into the update.
It's a good comeback.
Yeah, it's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladiusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Well, didn't talk much about it yesterday, George, and this crosses the sports landscape, but we have a new pope. And that pope,
yes, I'm aware of that.
And that pope is American. And that
he's a White Sox fan.
Yes. And that pope is also a White Sox fan and didn't bring the White Sox any luck yesterday. They lost. But the funny part of it is there was a rumor out early, like right after it was announced, that he was a Cubs fan.
Right.
And people are like, okay, of course, he's from Chicago. He's a Cubs fan. Well, there's an interview out with his brother, one of his brothers.
Right.
And his brother goes, yeah, I don't know where that came from. We've been White Sox fans our whole life. So it switched back to White Sox. So everybody thought he was a Cubs fan, but the first American pope is a White Sox fan and a Villanova grad.
Well, let's go Nova.
Yeah.
I'll say this: if he's going to make the White Sox better, he better have a real pipeline for prayer.
Yeah, I know. I don't. Maybe he can go help manage them or sign some pitching, something. Because
maybe be their GM.
Yeah.
I wonder if Danny knew him.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Because Danny.
Well, we're going to find that out at 4.
Yeah, Danny's a DePaul guy, so I would venture to guess he either knew him or knew of him. But we do have a pope. We also, if you're in Nashville this weekend and you were willing to shell out some money to go to the Savannah Bananas, they're at Nissan Stadium tomorrow night.
They sure are. So what are they expecting to draw?
I was trying to look into that. They obviously, have plenty of seats there for it. And I was trying to look back at Clemson and how that setup looked like. It didn't look like they added many seats in the field at all. So I would guess a sellout, George. I mean, they sold out. They sold out at Clemson. They sold out
at about 86,000.
Yeah. So I would expect a sellout.
It's good to be a Savannah Banana, man. They are raking it in.
They are.
Good for them.
Their opponent's name is the Party Animals. So if it's like the
Washington Generals.
Yes. Yeah. It's so you got the Bananas in town this weekend. You got some news out of North Carolina. And we haven't talked a ton about.
What is that? Yeah, what is that?
Well, we haven't talked
a ton about the girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, has reportedly been banned from North Carolina's football facility.
By whom?
Well, you would guess someone in the administration. I mean, surely that wouldn't have come from anyone within the football program, no?
Well, wouldn't that have to come from the AD, Bubba Cunningham?
That's what you would think.
Okay, but now you've read the story. I really haven't. I just sort of glanced. What is the reason they're banning her?
Well, on the latest episode of Pablo Torre's podcast, the show's host reported that Hudson has been banned from the football facility, citing multiple UNC sources. Torre said that the decision was made by members of the university's administration in the wake of Bill Belichick's viral interview with CBS CBS Sunday Morning, in which the 24-year-old Hudson interrupted to shut down a question regarding how her and Belichick first met. So, university administration. But this is getting weirder and weirder. And look, Belichick, he's won a lot, but you wonder how he's received.
So is North Carolina denying the report?
Yeah, so UNC said later she was never banned. So this has kind of gone back and forth, but
there's something.
Yeah.
There may be something rotten in Denmark.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure what to make of that, but wanted to report that and get that out into the ether. More importantly, and probably the biggest story today, from Ross Dellinger, he reports earlier today that a 16-team college football playoff bracket is gaining support in the Big Ten and the SEC. So, and here's how he lays it out. Probably should have made a graphic of this, and maybe I will early next week, but here's how the bids would be laid out in this scenario. You get 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, 2 from the ACC,
yes,
2 from the Big 12, 1 G6, so like a group of 6, whatever that is, and then 3 at-large teams.
Billy, it's all about this.
Moolah.
Moolah, cakes, dinero, cabbage. And what really is going to go on, this is not going to be well received, is the SEC and the Big Ten are going to bully their way into 4 teams each, which is not going to go over well in the rest of the college athletic world. But the other thing we got to remember is, okay, we've now had a 12-team playoff. And for a lot of people, there felt like a little bit of fatigue by the end of it. So a 16-team playoff probably doesn't help that much. I just wonder if they're moving a little too quick. But then again, as I have said recently, it's all about that.
Yep.
That is where it is. It's all about money.
There's no stopping this train. I mean,
probably not.
In this setup, again, according to Ross Dellinger, the Big Ten and the SEC could have play-in games, 3rd versus 6th, 4th versus 5th. And if I'm the SEC, I take that. That allows for 9 or 10 conference games without a penalty for losses due to the schedule expansion.
So hold on a second. Does that become SEC championship week?
Well, that's a good question, and that's why everyone's asking, well, what's going to happen to those championship games? Expand in conference game revenue and expand guaranteed playoff slots. So this whole I mean, why is there another story out every day in the college world?
Because there's never enough money in the changing landscape. Now, I will say this. Let's just say, for argument purposes, that your 3 versus 6 game is in Atlanta and your 4 versus 5 is in a new dome stadium. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool. But I think for the SEC and the Big Ten, we're going to keep saying this. It's a win-win. These are the conferences that are going to continue to profit and to keep rolling because of this. I do like the idea of opening up championship game weekend to more than one game. I don't really mind that, and I think that would add intrigue. I think that would add opportunities for because for the people that say, well, you're going to get Alabama and Georgia, in there if they lose in that play-in game of the championship game, maybe you don't. So
there's going to be some fatigue. I mean, Don't get me wrong. Most of us can't get enough football, so it'll probably go well. But I think Kelly was the one to initially voice the concern in mid-January that it seems like it's going a little too far. They better be careful.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But that is the report out from Ross Dellinger. Last night, I tried to stay up for that Oilers Golden Knights game. I couldn't bear the overtime. But the Oilers did end up pulling it out, 5-4 of the Golden Knights.
Was it not around 12:30 Nashville time?
Yeah, because I think I went to bed a little before midnight, right as it hit overtime, and the Oilers ended up winning it there Didn't take them super long there in OT. The
It was
Oilers are
about
really,
5 minutes in. They're on a roll.
They're really talented, and I think they might be my pick to win this thing. And when they're, I mean, you think about it, they have with Draisaitl and of course McDavid, Nugent Hopkins. I mean, that's a really skilled team.
They've got a lot of offensive skill. They have not always, what's the word I'm looking for? They have not always shown the mental toughness that is needed to win the whole thing. But at least in the first 2 rounds, they look like the best team.
They do. Capitals beat the Canes 3-1. That series is tied at 1, headed back to Raleigh for a game tomorrow night. And also in the NBA, Warriors didn't have enough last night. I think we knew that was going to happen. The T-Wolves jumped all over them without Steph Curry. So they tie that series up at 1. And we've got a couple of big games tonight. The Cavs are down 0-2 in Indiana. And then you got the Thunder and Nuggets with that series tied at 1. So,
but the big one is tomorrow at 2:30, and I'll say it one more time. If you're not an NBA fan, super, get it, no problem. But if you're going to watch one game all year, make it tomorrow at 2:30 from the Garden, Madison Square Garden. They're saying it's the biggest Knicks game in like decades because they're up 2-0 on the Celtics, and Boston's a 3-hour drive from New York. Boston was the heavy favorite going into the series, and somehow the Knicks pulled out 2 in a row in Boston. They are saying that some of the ticket prices are Super Bowl kind of numbers. Can you imagine? Yeah.
That place is going to be rocking. And a Marv Albert, we're going to send it to Marv Albert. What do you think about that Knicks atmosphere tomorrow?
Patrick Ewing and the Knicks. Rejected. Go back and watch when somebody blocks a shot. It was never rejected. It was rejected.
Yeah. All right, before we go to the break, how about the Braves last night? They win it in 11 innings against the Reds, 5-4, and got a good start from Spencer Schwellenbach. After the game, Snitker said he needed that. He looked like his old self again.
Yeah, that's a good piece of news. Supposedly, Spencer Strider will be back by the end of the month. However, I do believe, as others, that there's something else going on there that we're not being told about.
I'm with you.
Just my thought. We done?
Yep.
Okay, we've got a really good Friday show for you. If you're on your way home, kick back. I'm not sure you need to kick back in the car, but relax nonetheless. We got a good full plate for you. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to thegamenashville.com.
The password. We're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are back on this beautiful Friday afternoon. Billy's up in Knoxville, where Tennessee and Vanderbilt will square off in a little more than an hour in game one of a 3-game series. Whichever of these teams win the series feels like they have a leg up on not only hosting in the opening round, but having the opportunity to host in the Super Regional. And with that in mind, with so much at stake, we've asked Mike Rooney from D1 Baseball to join us to talk a little bit about it. Mike, thank you for taking the time. Hope you're doing well.
Doing well, yeah. Unbelievable time of year. It's been, incredible. Let's go.
Let's go. So give me your thoughts on how this plays out this weekend up there.
So you're talking about Tennessee and Vandy, correct?
Absolutely.
So I think, Tennessee is this confounding team right now because, they're coming off a national title. And it's not just the national title, as you guys know. Like, this is the last 4 years, if you look at college baseball, it's undeniable that Tennessee's been the best program in college baseball. And it just got capped with the national title. And, I think many, especially people within the program, would argue that the 2022 team was the best of the 4 teams. And then, Vandy, you could argue, was the program of the decade in the 2010s, either them or Florida. And, so here we are. The thing people are saying about Tennessee is surely they're not going to lose 4 home SEC series this year, right? Like, there's no way that's going to happen. But they've already lost 3. And so, we're getting to that point. And then for Vandy, I think people have been critical of the offense, but I think that's really come on lately. Huge comeback series win over Alabama last weekend. And I think Vandy's starting pitching is, as you know, that rotation Friday through Sunday is as good as anybody. So I think they're both Omaha caliber teams. We'll see if it plays out that way. But I mean, a fascinating series for a million different reasons.
Mike, what's your theory on why Tennessee has suddenly sprung a little bit of a leak and appear a lot more human?
I think, you know, I have a couple thoughts. One is when you lose kids like Christian Moore and Blake Burke, big deal. You know, like not only are those two big leaguers, like I would argue that those two kids were two of the top 5 to 10 players in the entire country last year, and they were in the same lineup. So not only are they big leaguers, but they're also kids that were in your program for 3 years that have all that pride and culture wired in there. And, you know, like that's a big vacuum. I think this year's team, infield defense has been a real challenge, and so has the bullpen, you know, especially missing bats in the bullpen. And I do think when your bullpen starts to get a little leaky, that can really chip at the confidence of your team. And I also think that infield errors really, you know, can be hard on a team mentally too. You know, it's so front and center. They've moved a lot of people around in the infield. And you know, the guy that you would hope would be the steady Eddie, Dean Curley, has, you know, he was brilliant as a true freshman, caught everything that was hit to him and threw it to first, no problems. You know, he's had some critical errors. And so I just think the team, Tennessee, I still would argue they're the most physically talented team in the country. They just don't have the same swagger. And, you know, I think there are a lot of reasons for that.
Mike, on the Vandy side, I never believed, you know, back in February or March that on May 9th, we'd be talking as though they might have a chance not only to host in the opening round, but have some possibilities of super regional as well. And I made the comment a couple of days ago that I thought this might be as good a coaching job as Tim Corbin has ever done at Vandy. And, you know, then I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, if that's true, that's really saying something.
Yeah, I would say, you know, Vandy is so interesting because, you know, I think one of the things that changed their season was, you know, the emergence of Connor Fennell. You know, like he's missing bats as much as anybody in college baseball without throwing a fastball that travels 90 miles an hour. And, you know, just incredible. So I think that's a big part of it. Sawyer Hawks having an incredible season is another part of it. But I think to your point, if you had told Tim Corbin that, hey, there will be parts of the season where Braden Holcomb will be unplayable, you know, and Braden Holcomb's that type of player, right? Like that high risk, high reward. But boy, has he really emerged. I think we've all been kind of waiting for this. Like when do the skills catch up to the athleticism? And it seems to be happening. If you told Tim Corbin that, hey, Brody Johnson will be hitting 276 in May, when, you know, we think he's a star player, and he's had an excellent year. I mean, 10 home runs and 47 RBIs are great. He just, you know, the control of the strike zone's been a problem. And I think most specifically, if you told him that, hey, RJ Austin's going to be hitting 260 in the middle of May, Tim Corbin would have passed out, right? I thought RJ Austin was a guy that could challenge for SEC Player of the Year, and I still think he can get hot down the stretch. So I love your premise. I agree with it. And I think Vandy's very dangerous in the postseason.
Is it as simple as whoever wins this series will have the leg up to host a super regional, or do you think both of them could get eligible for the double dip?
Yeah, I think what if we've learned anything, George, this season, it's that nothing is simple. Like, beware of conclusions. Like, for instance, you know, a month ago, if you'd asked me, is Texas A&M season over? I would have said, heck yes. Well, then they sweep a doubleheader in Knoxville, right? And now next thing you know, A&M is going to be the worst 3 seed in the entire tournament, the NCAA tournament. I think, I mean, just, you know, Mississippi State, their season was so dismal that they let go of Chris Lemonis, who had won them a national title a week ago. Now they're safely in the NCAA tournament. So volatility is the theme of the season. So I think that every game is critically important. You know, I think if you're Tennessee, the one thing I would tell you is if you lose they've lost 4 out of 5 series. If they lose 5 out of 6 series, I think they're going to come off the board as even hosting a regional, let alone a super regional. Now, but the flip side is if Tennessee wins the series, they're right back in conversation for the top 8. So the margins are so thin right now. I think every game of this series is hypercritical because, again, for both teams, it's a huge RPI opportunity.
Mike, this is the last thing I want to ask before I turn it to Billy. My 92-year-old uncle in Little Rock is a huge Razorback fan. So I fully expected the phone call, and I got it. George, did you see what the Hogs did to Texas? And, of course, I did. And, of course, I knew the phone call was coming. Is that just a weekend blip on Texas's radar, or exactly what is that?
Well, I think many of us believe that the best version of Arkansas is the best team in the country. The challenge is, like, we weren't getting it every weekend, right? Like, you lose 3 straight series to Georgia and A&M and Florida, and the A&M series was at home, and now they never got swept. And I do think, we've been waiting for Texas to pay a penalty on these injuries. Texas lost their Friday night guy, Jared Spencer. They lost who I would say is their best hitter, Max Ballou, and they just kept, winning games. They're so well coached, and they are an older team. So I think Texas finally paid the price for losing 2 key players like that. I do think that Arkansas, even when people were bemoaning the offense early in the year, you couldn't look at the roster and not feel like, okay, this position player group is demonstrably better than what they were running out there the last couple of years. And I think finally that has kicked in. So yeah, I think if I was your uncle, I'd be excited. Now, I'm in his camp. You could tell him that's my preseason national champion pick of the year. And I think they're going to be in it to win it.
Mike, appreciate you hopping on with us. I want to talk rivalries, and obviously Vandy and Tennessee is a big one. We're seeing NC State, North Carolina this weekend, and USC, UCLA, LSU, Mississippi State. There's so many good ones. I want to ask you, though, when it comes to the cultural differences, the bat stickers and the trash talk and everything that happens, that seems to happen every time Vandy and Tennessee get together, where does this one rank in college baseball for you?
Well, I think this one's an awesome rivalry, but I think, like as we sit here in 2025, Billy, it's as good as any of them. But I would say it's newer, right? Like there was a long time in college baseball where, the only people that cared about the Vandy-Tennessee rivalry were the people playing for Vandy and Tennessee. Now I think it's become, as I mentioned before, like Vandy program of the decade, last decade, them or Florida, and then right now, through Tennessee would be the program of this decade. So I think that's what's ratcheted it up. And, stylistically, Tim Corbin and Tony Vitello are totally different. And that's totally fine, right? Like, I think that's great. Like, that's why we have chocolate and vanilla when it comes to ice cream. So I think that makes it fun. But I mean, 2 great programs, super well respected. I just think it's different because it's newer and it's very high level, but all those rivalries, I mean, they're so fun. Like this weekend, even Arkansas at LSU is an awesome rivalry in baseball, and Ole Miss at Mississippi State with a ton on the line, and the other ones you mentioned. But Vandy and Tennessee, there will be a ton of eyeballs on that series this weekend because both teams, to Georgia's point, are in the running for a top 8 national seed.
All right, I want to take a look around the SEC. You mentioned Ole Miss, Mississippi State. That's always fun. A sneaky good series this weekend, Georgia and Alabama. Georgia, top 10 team. Alabama trying to get off a schneid for them after losing here in Nashville. Florida is at Texas. The Gators are desperate. What other series are you looking at, Mike, that can be impactful to the committee's eyes this weekend?
Yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, like, you guys know the nature of the SEC is there's just not any such thing as a non-compelling series. Ole Miss is playing to try and be a host. Mississippi State is trying to play their way off the bubble. We mentioned Vandy and Tennessee. OU is trying to play their way into a host. Kentucky right now is in the projections the 14th SEC team in the field. That's not an awesome place to be. Like, they want to play themselves off the bubble. South Carolina is just playing for, pride right now. But if you're Auburn, you don't want to be the team that loses to South Carolina or loses a weekend to South Carolina. And, that game's on right now, and South Carolina's giving them fits. And, if you're A&M, you don't want to be the team that loses the first game to Missouri. Like that's compelling. And, you mentioned Georgia wants to be a top 8 seed, and Alabama wants to solidify their case. So, I could run right down it. Florida is interesting that you brought them up because they started SEC play 1-11, and they're 10-2 in their last 12. So it's like, Florida's, their resume's all over the place. And, Texas is trying to prove that last week was a fluke. And so, yeah, I mean, it's what makes the SEC so fun. It's just 10 weeks of compelling series after compelling series.
All right, last thing for me, Mike. George mentioned the national spotlight that'll be on Knoxville with Tennessee and Vandy. Feels to me the last, 3-4 years, the TV coverage has been amped up. Obviously, you're a part of that with the squeeze play during the tournament, and then obviously Selection Monday, which everybody loves. How have you seen television coverage grow with college baseball, being a part of it with your role, but also just feeling that? Because you can really feel college baseball improving every single year.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I think the short answer is, the television coverage has increased dramatically, and I think that certainly helps. I think the product has been improving. Major League Baseball has noticed that, and they're, one of the reasons Major League Baseball shrunk the minor leagues is because that was a vote of confidence for college baseball. They kind of looked at it and said, and of course I'm speaking for them, I'm speculating, but to me, I took it as a vote that, hey, why would we compete with a great feeder system that's already in place in college baseball that's free? And so, and I would say to your broader point, Billy, like one of the things I've noticed is college baseball has become attractive to just the standard sports fan. Like I can't tell you how many friends I had asking me about Jim Schlossnagle going from A&M to Texas. Yeah. People that don't really care about college baseball, but now they're interested. In 2022, Tony Vitello and Tennessee, they were like WWE, right? Like people that never watched college baseball before got interested because of just the specter that was Tennessee baseball. So I agree. It's grown tremendously. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been a blast.
Mike, first of all, on really short notice, thanks for coming on with us. Secondly, I am a big fan of your work. You've been way too modest. You have been part of that growth of the sport with what you've done on TV. So thank you for that. Thank you for the visit, and look forward to having you on again sometime in the future.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, George. You did get the second string. Joe Healy is a stud, but I'm happy to fill in for him. My vocab is not quite as strong as Joe's, but I did the best I could, and I do sincerely appreciate your compliment.
Oh, Mike, you did great. You don't have to take a back seat to anybody, but thanks for coming on with us.
All right, take care, you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, love it. We are off and rolling on what is going to be an exciting sports weekend. After the break, Terry McCormick's going to join us, and he's going to give us his early opinions on what he has seen of Titans quarterback Cam Ward. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
Attention sports fans, the Middle Tennessee Sports Spectacular and Collectibles Expo is set for Friday, May the 16th through Sunday the 18th at the Farm Bureau Expo Center in Lebanon. Former Titans Javon Kearse, Albert Hainsworth, and Joey Kent will all be there, and we'll broadcast our show on Friday the 16th. Parking is free, admission is $10, and I can't wait to meet all of you in Lebanon.
Want to define teams by singular performances. Sports.
Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
So the early game on the SEC network has Auburn leading South Carolina 10-8 at the end of 6 innings. So apparently there's not a lick of pitching in game 1 of that series. But let's move on to the important stuff. The Titan rookies are in town, and Terry McCormick is working hard. Main Street Media and TitanInsider.com, and he joins us to talk about it. Terry, what's the story so far?
Well, tomorrow is when we will actually get the opportunity to get our first look at Cam Ward and the rest of the rookies who will be out on the field. This is really just kind of a, I guess, what's the orientation, I guess, is kind of the best way to put it. Remember the first day of a college class, how you'd kind of get a little bit of a synopsis of what was going on and what you were going to be facing. Well, that's what all these guys are going to be entering into today and tomorrow as they get to know the Titans playbook and the coaches and just kind of how things are going to be as they adjust to NFL life.
Terry, that just brought back a bad memory. I can remember one class where I took a look at the syllabus when I was at Vandy, and I said, I'll be in summer school. There's no chance this is going to work out. But in all seriousness, what is it you think they want to see this early from Cam Ward to give them the sense that, hey, we've invested a lot and it's well worth it?
I think what you want to see first and foremost is just his ability to pick up the playbook, his ability to get the team in and out of the huddle. If he calls, makes a play call, that he's able to get it out, communicate it to his teammates, get people lined up, because it's going to be his responsibility as the quarterback and as the leader of this football team to be able to make sure everybody is on the same page and in the right spot. So before he can do that with the other 10 guys on the field, he's got to know exactly what it is that he has to do. And so they want to see that he's well on his way to learning that.
Terry, as is the case at every training camp, and every one of these introductory things, the film footage that comes out is of the quarterback. I saw it at the Giants camp a little while ago with former Ole Miss Rebel Jackson Dart. So we know it's Cam Ward all the time over this weekend. what for you is the second most important storyline, or is it simply Cam Ward 1 and Cam Ward 2?
No, I mean, Cam Ward is going to dominate the headlines. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But I think the next thing, given what they addressed in the draft, I think one of the next things that has to be really looked at and focused upon are these young receivers that they drafted. How soon can you get contributions from Chimere Dike or Alec Annemeyer, the guys that they have picked up in the draft, and even Xavier Restrepo, the undrafted guy who many people think will have a decent shot to make this roster simply because he's familiar with Cam Ward. He was productive in college, and the Titans, need bodies at wide receiver. So I think that's the other storyline to kind of watch to see, how these guys pick things up, how quickly they get on the same board during the throws, even if it's just routes on air, which it's going to be most of the time.
Terry, I saw Restrepo in college at Miami, and he looked like a really good player. Were they surprised that he was still there in free agency? And did they ever consider with that final pick going with him?
Well, I think what hurt him was the fact that he ran like a 4.85 or whatever it was in the 40-yard dash at Miami. Now, he said some of that was because he had, tweaked his hamstring or whatnot. But I think in talking to folks out there, I think that probably scared a lot of people off of this kid to say, well, the NFL is a fast game. You've got to adjust and react accordingly. And a 40 time isn't everything, but a guy who can't play faster than that slow 40 time is going to get swallowed up pretty quickly. So that's what Restrepo has got to show them, even starting this weekend, is that that the 40 time is not going to hold him back and not going to keep him from being able to, get open with cuts and get open by using spacing and things like that.
So their second and third picks in the draft raised some eyebrows, not necessarily of whether there's talent, but given that in recent years they have ended up drafting people that had issues, injuries, off the field, whatever, and they didn't pan out. What are they looking for there?
Yeah, I think when you're talking about Femi Oladejo and Kevin Winston.
Yeah, you'll notice, Terry, I didn't dare go with those names.
No, Kevin Winston, you should be able to pronounce, George. That's pretty simple. That's pretty basic.
That wasn't the one I was worried about.
No, I get that. But Oladejo and Winston are guys, have different issues coming in. Oladejo is a guy that is had recently switched positions from inside to outside linebacker. And the Titans think he has a lot of potential to develop as an edge rusher, something that they badly, badly need on this team. So to me, it's a little bit of a project pick. It's a little bit of maybe this guy hasn't tapped out his potential yet and you can get something out of him. But there might not be that immediate payoff that there could have been with somebody else with that pick. So it is a risk. And then with Winston, it's simply, is he able to come back from the knee injury and be the same player he was before he suffered it last year? These days, ACLs are not the big deal they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. So you're starting to see some of the stigma of that wear off a little bit, but still, if he's not available at the start of camp or not full speed at the start of the regular season, that's something that obviously would be a concern until he can get up to full speed.
Terry, before I turn it over to Billy, I got to ask this question. Is tomorrow open to the public?
No, it is not. It is open to media, but not open to the public.
Okay. Billy?
Terry, with the Titans draft wrapped up and mini camp getting going, what have you heard with Cam Ward and the offensive guys that they drafted, leading up to when they meet this weekend? Anything new that you've heard that has made you sort of rethink what you originally thought about what these guys can potentially do within this offense this season?
Well, I think it's really when you look at everything that they've got. I think that the one thing that I'll say here is this, I think this has kind of been known, but it's also kind of one of those deals where a lot of times people don't want to say, the quiet part or the negative part out loud. And that's this, that Cam Ward coming in here, brand new, people are, thinking he's going to do a Jaden Daniels type turnaround for this franchise. And there's a remote chance that could happen, but more likely, given the roster and given what they have to work with, this is going to be a hard rebuild. There are going to be some rough patches. He's going to be trying to get on the same page with rookie receivers. He's going to be the Titans are going to try to, squeeze a little bit out of veterans like Tyler Lockett and Calvin Ridley, and they're going to try to help Cam Ward through this process. But I will say this, I think they're going about this more the right way this time around than they did last time around with Will Levis. And here's why I say this. They're telling us up front with Cam Ward not to expect to go to the Super Bowl, not to expect to be a playoff contending team this year. Temper your expectations. Know that this is a rebuild. Know that it's going to take a while and that improvements may come in things that are not necessarily wins and losses. And you remember last year, they kind of sold everybody a bill of goods, saying, look how much money we've spent. Look at what all we're doing. Will Levis is going to come in, and we've got it. He's ready to go. Well, he wasn't ready to go. He was a young quarterback who didn't have a whole lot more experience than Cam Ward did, coming out in the draft. And it really kind of blew up in their face when it didn't work out. And looking back on it, we probably shouldn't have been surprised because, Will Levis went through some ugly growing pains last season with some of the turnovers and some of the sacks and just the poor play all around him. And now with Cam Ward, they're trying to, they know that maybe not to that extent, but some of those same things are going to be happening. There are going to be some bad passes. There are going to be some ugly interceptions. There are going to be some receivers who can't get open and they're struggling to work against NFL coverage. I think they're at least preparing people and laying that carpet out there, knowing that last year it was the wrong move to heighten people's expectations given what it turned out to be.
One of the bigger stories that's interesting to track is Treylon Burks, right? He's done very little with the Titans. He's been hurt essentially the entire time. And you had a good piece on him and showed some quotes from Brian Callahan on MainStreetMediaTN.com. Callahan said he's got to get healthy first. That's the first part. He's still working back. We'll see where that ends up when he actually gets cleared. And then talked about he's got to play. He's got to show up when it matters. Is Burks going to make it to where it matters? Do you think he'll be here in the preseason, Terry?
Well, that's the big question. Will he be healthy enough to contribute? It wouldn't shock me to see him start training camp on the PUP list. In fact, it might almost be better if he started training camp on the PUP list, maybe even started the season there too, so that when he finally can come off, maybe he's healthy, maybe he shows you a little bit of something, if not here, that somebody else would want to take a chance on him, because this is a guy that you look at his career numbers and it doesn't even really measure up to a good season of A.J. Brown, whom they traded and then used that pick to get him with. So to me, Treylon Burks is down to his last shot here. And, the bloom is off the rose as far as, being a number one pick will buy you some extra chances because a team spent that much gets you. But that was 2 general managers and 1 head coach ago. And now, he's just another guy fighting for a spot. And if I'm Treylon Burks, I've got to do whatever I can just to be on the 53 this year and hope that you get an opportunity to contribute in some way, form, or fashion.
Terry, good. Billy, did you have one more?
No, the only other thing I was going to mention is the 49ers picked up Andre Dillard and Nicholas Petit-Frere. What did that fan base do to deserve those two guys?
Wow.
I don't know, but if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm telling my agent to cut off all negotiations on an extension with the 49ers.
Wow. Mr. Negative, are we?
Oh. Well,
Terry.
Hopefully for Purdy's sake, those guys are just training camp bodies and won't be the ones actually protecting him on Sunday.
Hey, Terry, I'm sure we're going to want to check back in with you on Monday to see how it's all worked out with Cam Ward. Thank you for the visit. Have a good weekend.
All right. You guys have a good one too. See ya.
Terry McCormick, Main Street Media and TitanInsider.com, joining us. After the break, we will have Stat of the Day, and given that it's a solo effort, it's likely to bomb. Then some big news involving Danny Evans, and we'll find out what he thinks on May the 9th, 2025, about Nashville's expansion chances. You've heard all this before. You'll hear more on 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, this is Andrew Allegra, voice of Vanderbilt baseball. Hope you can join us this weekend. A mega matchup from Knoxville. The Vandy boys, ranked number 11 versus the Vols. Our coverage on Friday starts at 4:15. All 3 games on 102.5 The Game.
Vanderbilt Athletics lives here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
40 spas on display from Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select.
Prices starting as low as $29.99.
Family Leisure has over 100 sets of patio furniture with free delivery.
That sounds good to me, too.
We should really look at the wood play gyms for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. Family Leisure's vacation at home sale in Franklin and Antioch.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Here's my pitch. I think the home run derby should be with pitchers. Think about how funny and fun it would be. Guys that could barely, not Ohtani, but think about pitchers in the home run derby. Vegas East, are you in on my pitchers in the home run derby idea?
No, that sounds terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Unsportsmanlike. Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Christopher Mad Dog Russo.
Hello, Evan. Michelle, how are you?
First
great.
take, of course, 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Right.
Mad Dog Unleashed.
Yeah, thank you there, Evan.
Mad
We
Dog
know the
Sports
schedule. How you doing? And you're doing a wonderful job filling in for all these shows and being the star that you have always become, that we didn't like you over there at Mad Dog Radio, but you have done a
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. Earlier on Joe and Q.
5 quarterbacks throwing him the ball over his 3 years in the league: Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson. We can talk about Dak's shortcoming in the playoffs all we want. In the regular season, he's a damn good quarterback. So the Cowboys have a need. They bring in George Pickens. CeeDee Lamb drawing all the attention as the number 1. There's a lot of potential here for the Cowboys.
Joe and Q. Weekdays from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Hey, did you miss Clinton and Friends?
Long time no here. K9 in Florida. What's up?
Yo, what's up, OG? Hey, I didn't call about the paper. oh.
Sorry, the kennel's getting a little active.
Nah, it's all good, man. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm throwing mulch right now out here in this Florida sun, sweating like Mike Tomlin, baby.
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Well, it's a beautiful day in Nashville, beautiful day in Knoxville as well, ahead of a huge series this weekend. But we're talking the big leagues with Danny Evans coming up. But first, stat of the day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, George, you might need to phone a friend and Mr. Danny for this one. I'm reading a book about Earl Weaver and discovered he's one of the most ejected managers in history.
Oh, God, yes.
Who is the active leader in ejections?
You know, first of all, Bobby Cox, when he was the Braves manager, got ejected close to 200 times. I'm guessing it's Aaron Boone, although I don't know that. But Aaron Boone seems like a logical choice. So show me Aaron Boone.
It is Bruce Bochy.
Really? And really all that is just a level of longevity.
Yeah. Bochy, and a lot of Bochy's, yeah, he was probably right. I mean, because he's one of the better managers ever.
Oh, no, he's Billy, he's a Hall of Fame manager, pure and simple. He's a Hall of Fame resume without a shadow of a doubt. By the way, he lives here.
Man, who doesn't now?
Yeah. Bruce Bochy. I wonder where Aaron Boone ranks on that deal, because he's gotten tossed more than once.
The live wire.
Yeah. So, oh, wow. Is that I'm reading something Danny's put out there. Tell me that he's with us in some form or fashion.
He is.
Okay. So we welcome all of you officially into the 4:00 hour. And that man on the right-hand side of the screen, if you're watching by way of podcast, is the new president-elect. Now, he's not the Pope, although he was once a White Sox man. But he is the president-elect of the Sabre Board of Directors, and he will take office. We'll probably play Hail to the Chief in June. Danny, how are you? And tell people who don't know, what does Sabre mean?
Well, hello, George, and hello, Mr. Derek. Sabre is the Society of American Baseball Research, George, and we're just a bunch of baseball nerds. We just love the game. We have 40 committees. It's all about stadiums, uniforms, history, trends. George, we've got women in baseball. We've got Negro League history, minor leagues. We have broadcasting. And one of the things we also have is statistical analysis, and that's where Sabre Metrics comes from. But I'm just really proud. I've been in Sabre since my dad gifted me a membership when I was a sophomore in college. And I'm thrilled by the opportunity, and I'm really humbled by the plurality of the vote that I received yesterday. So I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to it.
I hope it means you're bringing that convention back to Nashville soon.
It will at some point. We will look at Nashville, George, no doubt. And you guys mentioned Bochy. Bruce is a great guy. I've known Bruce for 30 years. Bruce is going to be our recipient on an off day at the Sabre Convention in Dallas. He's winning the Roland Heeman Award, and I chair that award for Sabre, my former mentor. And Bruce is doing it, and he's appearing, and he's excited about winning the award.
So I got to ask this. I can't believe that this is going to come up for conversation, but here goes. So for those who don't know, Danny Evans not only is a former general manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, but long before that was a front office executive, assistant general manager with the Chicago White Sox. Did you ever come in contact with the new Pope?
Well, I don't know, because we grew up in the same city, basically. He likes the same pizza place that I like. Aurelio's Pizza on the South Side. I thought it was funny, George, the other day when people said that he was a Cub fan, because anyone from Chicago knows that anyone from Dalton, Illinois, is not allowed to be a Cubs fan. And I mean, it's amazing, but I think it's pretty cool that he's a big baseball fan. I do know that he attended the 2005 World Series because a couple of my friends from the White Sox told me that and even sent me a photo of him at the World Series in 2005.
Wow.
So, I think it's kind of cool that a baseball fan is the Pope.
By the way, Billy would pay big bucks to have that picture.
I would.
Well,
Hey,
well, Billy, everything's negotiable.
Pony up there, you mooch.
That's right. And no 94 fan giveaways either. I want it to come out of his wallet with all the dust and and everything. It could work out well.
I do think though that the White Sox ought to have a promotion that begins maybe with white smoke. And then, I mean, come on. I mean,
George,
Bill Veck would have done it.
Yeah, George, they already sent him a jersey and a hat.
wow.
That's cool.
Isn't that fun? Tell you one thing, you lose an excuse now. If you're the White Sox, you know that they've got the guy closest to God on their side, so you're kind of losing that excuse. You got to play a little better, which they actually have been playing better.
They have been. The Rockies, on the other hand, got outscored yesterday in a doubleheader, 21-3. They kicked a 47-yard field goal in the thin Colorado air. Ooh, that's a long season.
At altitude, they have currently the worst offensive team in a century. That is almost impossible, although they're doing it. To play at altitude and have the worst with runs created literally in the last 100 years is improbable and nearly impossible. And it's just a testament to how poor constructed a club they are. They're just terrible.
By the way, around 4:30 or so, we'll try to open up phone lines for Danny and get some of the interaction going with him that you all have enjoyed. Danny, all of a sudden, it has gotten so quiet on the expansion front that you could hear a mouse. Now, I get what part of that is. It's the Tampa problem where they're having to play at Steinbrenner Field. But I have also had friends of mine here who know former Governor Haslam who wonder if he's even in the mix anymore now that he's going after the WNBA franchise. What are you hearing about us?
George, you're right. It has been crickets recently, and I think you're correct regarding the Tampa Bay situation. That really, that roof collapsing and their deal collapsing was unexpected and a bit shocking for Major League Baseball. Now they're effectively vagabonds right now, trying to figure out their future and their facility. That, along with the athletics situation, where they're playing really well. They're in Sacramento. Their former president of the Raiders is now the president of the Athletics, and he's had a lot of success with a new stadium, getting everything done in Las Vegas. So the Athletics might be working itself out, whereas Tampa Bay is still murky. And until they get those two franchises cleared up, I don't think either the MLBPA or Major League Baseball are going to want to solidify expansion. They just can't from an ownership standpoint. It doesn't make sense because the dollar amount that the clubs get is enormous, but they're also buying in to an already viable situation, and they're going to make sure their house is in order before they open those doors. And George, I have to say this, Governor Haslam would be an outstanding choice to lead that franchise just with his pedigree and his connections. I think a couple of years ago, The Nashville group blew their chance to really get on the map at the winter meetings. They just didn't do anything publicly to enhance their chances. And now there's a lot of cities that are waiting for that starting gun to go off. But right now, there's really no groundswell about expansion. Yet, Commissioner Rob Manfred said prior to his term concluding, which is in about 3 years, he wants there to be some clarity regarding the next round of expansion. And I think it'll be good for baseball. So I think it'll be interesting to see what occurs in the next, I'd say, 12 to 18 months regarding that topic.
Yeah, I was going to kind of go with that. Manfred has acted like that's something he wants on his resume at the end, but it feels more and more, Danny, like that might not happen in that time frame.
Yeah, and we don't know, George. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. There's a couple other franchises that are for sale. The White Sox, we're talking to Matt Ashiba, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, and now he has a huge minority interest in the franchise. The Twins are still for sale. So I do think there's some transiency in the ownership within Major League Baseball at huge numbers, nearing $2 billion. But George, I tell you what, I think the game's ready for it because of the explosive nature of the growth of the game. I do think, though, they need to be really careful about the next two cities because they can't have the problems that they've had in some of the metropolitan areas that have taken on baseball in the last 30 years.
So I paid a lot of attention to Salt Lake City simply because I know Dale Murphy, the former Braves legend, is sort of the face behind that. Coupled with the hockey team having a really good first year there, how viable is Salt Lake City?
Oh, I think they're very viable, George. But I think geographically, Major League Baseball will go with a team near the West Coast and a team more, I'd say, mid-east to East Coast. They're also considering altering the divisional structure and perhaps going 8 divisions of 4 teams each. That's been tabled by a lot of people within MLB. I think Salt Lake City, Portland are really great options for West Coast regional teams. I think Nashville. I know Charlotte, and I also believe Orlando is trying to make a push. But George, I don't see Orlando with the Tampa Bay situation, and for that matter, Miami sputtering.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of sputtering, the Pirates make the managerial change yesterday of firing Derek Shelton. And Danny, I don't know. When I look at their situation, I see some really bright young starting pitching. I see a team that I don't think knows how to win. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, you need a manager who has won, who can teach the young guys. You're better than you're giving yourself credit. Start acting like it. And a GM that brings some veterans into this, spends some money. To me, they're the 1990 Braves before Sherholtz and Bobby Cox took over. Do you see it that way?
George, I'm surprised at their start. I saw their home opener against the Yanks this year at PNC Park, and I thought I was watching a division contender with their 3 young starters between Jones, Keller, and of course Skeens. They've got a couple kids that are on the brink of getting to the big leagues. I thought they were right there. Their general manager's terrific, Ben Sherrington, one of the best guys in the game. He has a really good staff. Shelton got booed on opening day, and it shocked me because I just thought, well, why is he getting booed? Sometimes clubs just stagnate and they don't go well. This is a team, George, and I know you're hoping that they get hot on Monday and not this weekend. But you also miss Skeens this weekend, which is a good thing. But George, I don't get them, and I I will say this. I know their manager, Don Kelly, who was just named, he's outstanding. He's feisty. He's aggressive. You may see them catch fire. I'm a big Don Kelly fan. I think he's going to be a heck of a big league manager, but they baffle me. They're one of the teams, I would say Baltimore. There's a couple other clubs that I can't figure out this year, but they, for me, are the team that I thought was going to jump into the fray in the Central, and it just hasn't happened. But George, the blame for me starts at the top. I think Nutting, their top executive, their owner, has really not been aggressive in the free agent market, trying to enhance a really good nucleus that, as you said, needs some veteran players. See, I don't think that's the general manager. That tells me that that's ownership not giving him the opportunity to chase those kind of players. And if ownership doesn't give you the money, George, you can never say anything negative about them as a club operator, but they're handcuffing you from getting better. And that division, while a good club in the Cubs, that division is right there for the taking. And I still think they're going to make noise before 2025 is over.
Cubs are going to win this division, aren't they?
I think so. Look out for St. Louis, though. They're starting to play really well. But I think that's going to be the only team from the Central Division. I think the winner of the division will be the team that gets into the postseason. I think everybody else is watching TV in October. And what the Cubs have done, George, with 3 starters down is remarkable.
It is. It is. They're fun to watch. Wrigley's going to have a fun summer. By about mid-June, you won't be able to get a seat in that place, and I love that.
No, it's the best. One of the best baseball venues in the world.
Okay, we're going to go to the break. Billy will have a few questions for you. Kelly's off on Friday, and then we'll, around 4:30, open up the phone lines and the chat room for your questions and comments for Danny. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
our bet, the Nashville Cats want you to keep the party going at our next home game on Saturday, May 24th at 5 p.m. at Municipal Auditorium against the Oregon Lightning. To buy game tickets and Cats merchandise and find out how to get involved with the Cats and certainly to get tickets to our next home game on May 24th, please visit NashvilleCats.com. Hope to see you at the Cats Party Memorial Day weekend. Claws out.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at First Horizon Park against Norfolk. Pre-game at 6:20.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Yeah, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. And let me tell you what I mean by that. South Carolina's just tied Auburn at 10-10 in the top of the ninth inning. So the odds that the SEC network shows the Tennessee Vandy game at 4:30, virtually nil. Those of you watching by podcast, on the right-hand side of the screen is our buddy Danny Evans, who 24 hours ago elected president-elect of Sabre. He's on the Sabre board of directors as the president, and my guess is that within the next few days, he will make contact with the Pope.
Yeah, Pope's got good friends. I wouldn't mind being real. I actually met Pope Paul in 1979 when I was an intern. George,
really?
I was with a television station in Chicago as a courier, and the wonderful lead anchor of ABC TV in Chicago brought me to his interview and introduced me to the Pope. It was pretty darn awesome. It was fun.
Oh, that's one you never forget.
No, I wish I would have known I was gonna meet him, but it was a really cool experience, I have to admit.
This moment of Catholicism leads us to Billy Derrick.
Mr. Evans, it's always a pleasure talking to you. The Braves had a big win last night over the Reds. Those two similar teams kind of been back and forth the last week or so for both those teams in extras. Of course, they're playing the Pirates tonight. A walk-off like that for a guy like Drake Baldwin, Schwellenbach pitched better than he has. Is it wins like that for the Braves from some unsung heroes who carried the way? Are wins like that helpful to a team in a little bit? I know they've started to play better, but can that help a team like this who is overall to start the season been in a little bit of a slump?
No question. Look at George's smile. He's all pumped up. His team's back at right around 500, and they have the Buccos this weekend, which is not really good with a new manager coming on board. I do, Billy. I think they're a club that just needed, I said about 3 weeks ago, they're still going to be okay. I still think they're going to win 87 to 90 games. And, personally, I think they're going to be a great shot to get in the postseason. I can't believe George would have that somewhere in the vestibule. It's interesting. But I will say this, Billy. They're doing this without Acuna and without Profar. Their outfield offense has been substandard. So anytime a complimentary player like Baldwin can win a couple of games in a week, that's a huge pick-me-up for the club. And from a spiritual nature, they know where they are in the standings. They know they have to climb out of this hole. And Billy, it's hard to play at that pace for about 140 games, which is what they've been forced to do. I happen to think they're going to be good, and I think they're going to kickstart. And I think the challenge will be when Acuna and Profar return, does that offense start to resemble the 23 team, or does it look more like the 24 club? If it looks like 23, they're going to have a shot to win the division.
Well, that's right where I was going. The division. You've obviously got the Phillies that they're not at their best. You've got the Mets, and who do you think ends up winning that? I mean, it could be a tough. Obviously, will be a tough thing to predict. But is it the Mets to lose, or do you see the Phillies potentially winning there, or even a team like the Nationals sneak up?
Billy, are you shocked by George's technology use? This is really kind of amazing.
I honestly am.
This is remarkable. He must have an intern there helping him with that. But but Billy, I'll tell you what. I think the Mets have the best pitching, and I think the best pitching usually prevails. But I think the Mets are a 90, 91 win team, maybe 92. I think they're better than the Phillies. I don't think it's a big gap, but I think it's a noticeable gap. The Phillies, like you said, have not really hit full stride, but they're going to be dangerous in the postseason. But I do think it's going to be a heck of a race. But I think the Mets, especially with Holmes coming in and performing as well as he has, moving in through rotation, I see the Mets prevailing, but I see those two clubs making it interesting for them in the last 3 months of the season.
All right, last thing for me. I know we got some chat questions, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. Random question. I feel like every baseball fan has a moment as a kid where you fall in love, and you go, man, I think I'm going to start playing baseball, or I want to work in baseball. Did you have a moment like that, Danny, where you're sitting in a stadium or you're watching a game on TV where you went, that's me?
Oh, yeah, Billy, no doubt. My mother took me out of school to go see Ferguson Jenkins face Bob Gibson at Wrigley Field. I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade. She took me out of school. I had the greatest mom. She was a huge baseball fan. Took me out of school. We went to the ball game. And about the 5th inning, my mom was just an insane baseball fan. And she goes, "How you doing?" And I said to her, "I want to come to more of these. This is so cool." I met Fergie Jenkins years later, and I told him the story. And I'm a little Fergie Jenkins groupie to this day, but no doubt. And the other thing that happened to me is in 1966 or 7, my dad took me to the old Busch Stadium, and we sat up at the next to last row in Busch Stadium and watched the Cincinnati Reds play the Cardinals in a doubleheader. And my dad was laughing at me because I kept score of the whole doubleheader. And my dad kept both scorecards, and I have them right over here because even as a little squirt, I was just rabid for that little 5-ounce pelota. And, now 100 years later, I'm still all over it. It's pretty fun, Billy. Great question.
Pelota. Wow.
Yeah. Snuck in a little Spanglish right there.
The show goes bilingual here. I love it.
Ozzie Guillen would be so proud of me right now.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We've left a lot of time, not only for questions and I'm looking at Auburn.
They're about to walk it off.
Yeah, they got a winning run at 3rd with 1 out. I don't really care who wins. Just get it over with.
I think they just walked it off. Nope. He didn't round 3rd.
Okay. So it's still 10-10 in the bottom of the 9th. Okay. Your questions for Danny by phone. And I'm looking for red-blooded Americans who want to talk some baseball with him. 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. If you can't get to a phone but want to text Danny a question, Billy, how do they do that?
Well, it's pretty easy. If you're watching on YouTube, on a laptop, it's just to the right of the screen where you're watching. Type in your question there. You can do the same on Twitter and Facebook. If you're on your phone, just swipe up and you can easily type in questions. We've got a lot rolling in. We'll get them over to Danny. So we'd love to hear from you.
Auburn just won, meaning the Tennessee Vandy game will be on SEC Network on time in a couple of minutes. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler. Attention sports fans, the Middle Tennessee Sports Spectacular and Collectibles Expo is set for Friday, May the 16th through Sunday the 18th at the Farm Bureau Expo Center in Lebanon. Former Titans Javon Kearse, Albert Hainsworth, and Joey Kent will all be there, and we'll broadcast our show on Friday the 16th. Parking is free, admission is $10, and I can't wait to meet all of you in Lebanon.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC. With the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Tennessee and Vandy just underway in Knoxville. If anything of importance happens, we'll keep you update. Left-hander Liam Doyle, 8-2 for Tennessee, and lefty J.D. Thompson for Vandy in an early start time, 5:30 up there, 4:30 Central Time. We're going to kind of go between phone calls and texts for Danny. Love the response. Eric in Nashville, you're the leadoff hitter, and welcome.
Hey, guys, before I get to my baseball thing, and I feel like I got to do this, I got to give a shout-out to all the moms this Sunday's Mother's Day. Love and cherish your mothers while they're still around, because you never know, one day they won't be here, guys. And I'm glad that I had a good relationship with my mom before she passed. She passed away about 2.5 years ago, January 2023. So cherish your moms and celebrate them this Sunday.
Amen.
Hey, Danny. My question is, and of course you know where I'm going this with the Cincinnati Reds. This is a team again that kind of frustrates me. I'm still kind of worried about their offense because it's been inconsistent. Where they have games where they explode, but then they also have times where they struggle. Like they've lost. I think now it's like I believe it's like 5 out of the last 6. They lost the last 2 against Washington, and they lost 3 or 4 to the Braves. I got to say this. I am definitely pleased with their pitching. Their pitching has been a lot better this year than this time last year, and hopefully they can keep that up. That's the one thing I've just been so just thoroughly proud of is their pitch. Their pitch is a lot better. But the hitting is just still a concern of me where they have these inconsistent games and series where they'll score. We have games where they'll score double-digit runs. And then, like in the first 2 games against the Braves, they got shut out 4-0, and then they lost 2-1 in 10 innings, where they can't score or get the hits that they need. I'm just want to get your thoughts on that. If you think Terry Francona will figure it out, or what do you think they can do? Do you think they can like move some batters up or down the lineup, try and move batting order around or something, try and get that offense going and on a more consistent basis? I just want to get your thoughts on it, guys. It's always good to talk to you guys. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good weekend, Eric.
Eric, as usual, you're spot on your club. You observe them very well and very astutely. Francona is one of the greatest managers in the history of the game and a personal friend. He will figure it out. Their offense is their whole problem. Right now they're just not quite where they should be, but they've shown signs in the last 3 weeks of really starting to turn the corner. I happen to think they're going to, and I like their chances. And an absolute great point about moms. We got to celebrate them every day, not just this Sunday.
Okay, Billy, what do you got in the text world?
Well, Danny's working hard to answer a lot of them through text, but I do want to reiterate this one on Aaron Boone. Ty actually brought up Aaron Boone is 4th on the list with 40 ejections behind Bruce Bochy, Bob Melvin, and Terry Francona. So that's some clarification there, George.
Danny, I absolutely went with Aaron Boone for the leading ejections. I did not think it would be Bochy.
He's been managing since the 1990s in the big leagues, and you know what? I think he's sneaky great. He's an absolute first ballot Hall of Famer when his career is over. An elite manager, a great human being. But George, gosh, does he have great feel for bullpens and pitching. And, early in his career, he was brilliant about getting chased. And he does that once in a while where he orchestrates it so well. And that's a masterful thing to do as a manager.
Let's go, Frank, over in Smyrna, Tennessee. Frank, you're on 94.9 The Fan, and welcome.
Good afternoon, George. Thank you very much. Danny, I just spent the last week in Atlanta, as George knows, attending the Braves-Dodgers series. And I did stick around for the Braves and the Reds series as well. And Eric kind of talked about, my observations of the Reds are exactly what Eric's were. But, being a diehard Braves fan, this team is they're just up and down right now. And you just wonder how they're doing it with, a shortstop that looks like Smalls from the Sandlot. I mean, somebody pointed that out to me the other night at the game, and I thought I was going to die laughing. But anyway, they found a way to beat the Dodgers. Well, win one against the Dodgers. Honestly, Grant Holmes was terrific last Friday night against them. They should have won that game. I saw Freeman and Ohtani hit 2 moonshots early Sunday morning in Atlanta after a long rain delay. And then Monday night we go to A.J. Smith-Shawver, and I have met him and his family in Atlanta a couple years ago. And, Danny, it's been 30-plus years since Kent Mercker, since the last time the Braves had a no-hitter. And honestly, I thought Smith-Shawver was going to do it. It just did not work out. Sean Newcomb
I thought so too.
doing it. Smith Shawver just has the kind of stuff, that I think is going to land in a permanent spot in the rotation. I think Holmes is going to be the odd man out when Strider gets back. But my biggest question for you is, I was standing in the hotel bar at Omni Hotel after the game last Sunday night. That's the hotel behind the Truist Park in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I look out the window and I see, the Dodgers buses and equipment truck basically getting the police escort to the Atlanta airport. So people on the street were very nice to wave the Dodgers out of town. Some in more friendlier ways than others. But we got to talking about, the umpires, they keep a low-key profile for the most part off the field. How do they travel? Do they travel regular commercial? Do they travel charter flights? Do they have to get to the airport in the middle of the night to catch a 6 a.m. flight to the next city? How do umpires travel, Danny?
Frank, great question. They have a nomadic 8 months. It is so hard to be an umpire. They've done a great job as a game. And George, you might want to check your texts. I just sent you one of the most fun photos of my career.
Oh, wow.
One of the toughest things about being an umpire, Frank, is their travel. They do it all commercial. They have a stipend. Yeah, there's me with Smalls at the Field of Dreams. That's Smalls, and he is a great guy. Oh, we had so much fun.
Love it.
You know what I said to him. Come on. I mean, of course, So I will say, Frank, that what umpires do is extraordinary. They travel as a 4-person group all over the country. For that matter, all over the continent, all over the world. But they travel together. They get first class seating so they can honestly get a little sleep on flights and get taken care of and get off the plane a little earlier. They make their own hotel transportation, but they do that all via Major League Baseball. And I have some wonderful friends that are Major League umpires, and I really have to shout them out because I think as hard as it is to travel with a Major League team, and I've done that for like 25, 30 years in a row, the problem is the umpires don't come home. The big league teams come home for half the schedule. Umpires do get a couple of breaks during the year, but for the most part, they are on the road. And I think we found out since replay, they do a phenomenal job.
I agree with you. There was a call at first base the other night that an umpire missed, and it was so close that I said to my wife, it's hard to really fault him, even though he got the call wrong and the Braves had the challenge, get it overturned. It's hard to really fault him. I mean, he's standing looking right at it. It is so quick. I said, I can appreciate the job they do. Most Major League umpires, honestly, I think they're very, very good. I saw Alan Porter the past 4 nights. I really think he does a great job. He speaks well to the crowd, and he some obviously are better than others, but they have a tough job. And I got to thinking about their travel. Goodness, Danny, that's amazing. I would love to sit with them at a bar one night after a game and have a beer and shoot the bull with them. I would love to.
Tell you what, they're usually phenomenal guys.
Frank, got to run.
Frank.
Thank you.
And Frank,
go ahead,
they
Danny.
love them as much as we do. That's what's fun. They love the game.
You have to, because it can be a lonely, and if you think it's rough on the major league level, those minor league umpires trying to make it, man.
Oh, George. It's like being a Supreme Court justice. I mean, until guys retire, for the most part, it's hard to dent that umpire population.
Billy, give me one more text.
Justin asks, can the Red Sox make a run?
And how pissed off is Rafael Devers?
Is that unbelievable? Can you believe a big league player not wanting to play a position that best improves his club? He is an erratic, below average, horrible defensive third baseman and won't change positions for the betterment of his team. That bothers the heck out of me, guys. And for all the listeners, tells you a lot about him. I know he's a gifted player, but for me, you got to do what's in the best interest of your club. He obviously doesn't have any mirrors in his house because he doesn't realize that he's one of their problems defensively. I've already answered this question in the chat, and I said yes, they might, but I do not think they're as good as the Yankees. I think they're an 82 to 84 win team. I think they're on the outside looking in.
Dave in Nashville, you're up next with Danny Evans on 94.9 The Fan.
Yes, sir. I got a question about Denny McClain. How many Cy Young Awards did he win?
He won one. I think he shared it
And
with Bob Gibson
shared-
in 1968, I believe.
Wait a minute. Didn't he share with Mike Cuellar?
Perhaps. I know he was a shared Cy Young Award winner. And I don't know if the Cy Young was in both leagues by then. It predates me just a little bit. But Denny McClain won 31 for the Tigers in the late 60s on a great Tiger team that went to the World Series, I believe, in consecutive years. And McClain was unbelievable. And a great trivia question, McClain was Lou Boudreaux's son-in-law.
Danny, he's going to be on our show next Thursday.
Really outstanding.
Yeah.
He's one of the finest pitchers of his generation, but he had terrible alcohol, drug, and gambling problems that really cost him his career.
Danny, you'll love this one. July 4th, 1972, Denny McClain has been acquired by the Atlanta Braves for Orlando Cepeda. He's going to pitch game 2 of a doubleheader with the Cubs, and it just so happened that little Georgie was there. This is a team that, Billy, drew less than 10,000 a game. Their gate back in the 70s was horrible. The attendance that night, because I looked it up a little while ago, 50,597 to see Denny McClain, who had very little left in the tank.
Well, I thought they were there to see you, little Georgie. No, your advanced team didn't get out there that well back then. Come on now.
No, and I didn't know the Pope the way you do. So before we let you go, give me a thought or two on what pro people are doing right now with the college game, which is winding to, we're 2 weeks away from the announcement of who does what. Tennessee Vandy's a big deal here. What do the pro people do as far as the scouting and all that right now?
Yeah, well, the people should know that series is great. I mean, Tennessee has unbelievable arms, and Vandy's an elite club. I mean, that is a gift to be able to go to see them play, those two teams play. This time of the year, George, you're about a month and a half outside the draft. And as a result, you've already narrowed your guys that you like early, but you're scouting about 1,500 players across the continent. Big league teams have, between 15 and 30 scouts, and they've seen guys multiple times for the most part, narrowing their draft board. What's happening right now is they're gathering analytics, they're gathering character and physical stuff about players. But for anybody who's a fan of college baseball, oh my, is the college game in a good place. It is so fun to watch, both baseball and softball. I mean, college softball is a blast to watch. But I think right now, the best players have been seen by scouts in every organization. And you start to formulate an opinion. Also, George, right now, you have some of your better scouts go back for a second or a third look, because until the regular season's over, when you can see guys. But once the tournament begins, you can't really maintain the schedule anymore. And as a result, you got to do a good job scouting before the tournament. And for that matter, George, anybody who has ever attended a college tournament game, or the series in Omaha. Oh my gosh, what a great experience. I think Kath and I are going to go to Omaha this year to go to see some of the tournament.
It is terrific stuff. Danny, White Sox employee of 1989, Bill Wainwright, passes on his best wishes to you.
Billy is great. Billy used to post me up when we'd play hoops. He's a Tennessee boy, and he's about 6'3", 6'4", and man, he just embarrassed me on the floor. But I'll tell you what, great guy, and I'm happy he's doing well.
He's watching right now. Danny, thank
Awesome.
you as always. Terrific stuff.
Thank you both. And Billy, you need some buttons behind you. I think you got to work on that a little bit.
Yeah, this isn't the normal setup for me, but there's a lot of cool baseball pennants and buttons in here. You'd love it in here, Danny.
I love it. Way cool. Have a great weekend, guys. And George, I hope your boys enjoy Pittsburgh.
Our boys enjoy Pittsburgh.
Come on, George.
The Bravos. Duh.
Wow.
Duh.
Billy, he needs
Duh.
a day off tomorrow.
I think you're right. Hey, have a good weekend.
You got it. Bye, guys.
I had a senior moment as a junior. When we come, first of all, Tennessee and Vandy scoreless after one. Tennessee had a runner ruled out at second base after a replay. Vandy, I believe, went 3 up, 3 down. So no score going to the top of the second. When we come back, plaster bet of the day, not 1, not 2, but 6 picks over the weekend. Get ready to make some money on 94.9 The Fan.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. They don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
The password, we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
This Mother's Day, give her something that makes life a little easier and her favorite moments even better. Whether she's the family chef, the go-to host, or the queen of cozy movie nights, you'll find a gift she'll love at Electronic Express, from small appliances for quick weeknight meals, to outdoor essentials for effortless entertaining, to smart TVs for the ultimate binge watch session. We've got that. Shop Mother's Day gifts that turn moments into memories, in store or at electronicexpress.com.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with your family with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
Family Leisure has 40 spas on display from 3 of the biggest brand names: Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select. Prices starting as low as $29.99.
What about above ground pools?
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. Guaranteed installation before Memorial Day, starting as low as $29.99. Installed.
Wow, that's great.
If you're looking at a spa, I want some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has patio furniture from all the big brand names like Hanneman, Woodard, Jensen, and Apricity. There's more than 100 sets on display to choose from with free delivery.
That sounds good to me too. And maybe a new Sabre infrared grill to go with it.
We really should look at the wood play gym for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. It's Family Leisure's Vacation at Home sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Friday. Vandy, Tennessee in action in the top of the second. Should be fun this weekend in Knoxville. Should be fun in the NBA and the NHL throughout this weekend as well. We'll see where George is going with the bet of the day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We take a look first, though, at what happened last night, and it's not a great night. 0-3.
No.
What do you mean?
Is
no?
that right?
Yeah. Oh, no. Because the Braves didn't cover -1.5.
Huh?
The Braves won by 1. You have to win by more than 1.5 to cover the 1.5 spread.
I guess I don't remember that. Okay, so clearly,
a lot of those.
yeah, clearly we've got some work to do.
Okay,
so
0-2.
whatever. Y'all need to clean it up here. Here goes. Your director has isolated numerous plays this weekend, beginning with this. Why on God's earth is Indiana the underdog? Has anybody noticed they've gone to Cleveland and cleaned house? Cleveland shouldn't be the favorite in this game. Pacer people, unite. Bet on your Pacers.
I like it.
That's number one. Number two, it's the biggest game in Madison Square Garden basketball probably in 25 years. I don't know that the Knicks are going to win the game, but I'll be dadgum if I'm taking Boston and giving up those points at the Garden, which will be rocking. Whether the Knicks win or not, they're covering the 5.5. Book it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Booking it early.
And then, yeah, I know it's no Steph Curry. I'm well aware of that. But Golden State at home will be very dangerous. Jimmy Butler will play extremely well. The kid with the curly hair, Podzinski or whatever his name is, he'll shoot the ball well. Golden State will play with their hair on fire. Whether they win or not, they're going to cover the 5. So 3 good underdogs to start off with in the NBA. Now to the NHL tonight. Florida, no way they lose at home. They're a huge favorite, so you got to beware of that number. But if you believe the Panthers are going to win, and I do, you simply take them. Florida laying a big number at home. Stanley Cup defending champions, not going to die tonight. They win. Tomorrow, same story with Carolina. Carolina's better than Washington. Good for the Capitals that they won last night, but they're not winning when they get into the South. Carolina is really good. They're one of those teams that could win it all, and even though it's a heavy number, lay it, you'll win. You like these so far, Billy?
I don't hate them.
Yeah. And last but not least, Edmonton tomorrow night looks like the best team in hockey right now, to be perfectly honest. They've got Vegas on the ropes. They moved to Canada for game 3. It's do or die for Vegas, and I think they're going to die. I'm taking Mr. Draisaitl, Mr. McDavid, Mr. Nugent Larson, or whatever the hell his name is. We're going Edmonton. Billy, I'm winning more this weekend than I'm losing.
I like Indiana to cover that. I think the Cavs win, but I think Indiana definitely covers that. I love the Knicks pick. That's a good pick. Golden State. I don't love that, but I don't. That's the one I'd be worried about because Curry's still not there.
No guts, no glory, Billy.
Yeah, okay.
It's very simple. You have to have guts.
Hockey, it's kind of drop the puck, whatever happened. Those hockey games are tough to pick. I do like Carolina, and then Edmonton. I love Edmonton. I think Edmonton wins it all. So this should get you off a schneid.
Well, let's hope so. Okay, as we end the broadcast, Vandy fails to score in the second. To be honest, they've done nothing in the first 2 innings offensively. Yeah, he has been for real. J.D. Thompson has a scoreless first inning for Vandy. So it's zip, bottom of the second. The game is on SEC Network, and we are out of here until Monday. Billy, try not to be a mooch up in Knoxville.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, well, given the business you're in, I can't say I blame you. We're done. See you Monday.